Okay, we're done with War of the Ring. It was turn 16, and the Fellowship was able to get into Mount Doom and dunk the ring, throw the ring in the volcano. And it was a close deal. They were at 11 corruption, so they were 1 point away. They got kind of fortunate. There was a lot of bad stuff in the bag, but they didn't draw. They didn't draw it at the end. I think. Let's see. They drew a 2, and let's see what was in the bag here. Well, I guess they had a fair chance. One of the problems is the channel player didn't get. They wanted extra eyes. They didn't get extra eyes, which was an issue. So they actually, these eyes were only doing 1 point of corruption, and Gollum can kind of negate that. But if they had drawn any of these 3s, they would have lost. So that was 3 of them out of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, it's pretty good. 1 in 4, 1 in 5 chance of that happening and the Shadow Player winning. Shadow Player was at 11 victory points, but you do your victory check at the end of the turn. So even though the Shadow Player had successfully achieved a military victory, the Fellowship had to the end of the turn to make it in and dunk the ring before the game was over, which they did. They actually used, and I forgot to mention this at any time, they get 3 elven rings, and they can use those to change dice to anything except the Will of the West, which they did. They changed the dice to character actions and were able to do that. And then they gave these, the Shadow Player could use them. It didn't matter, though, what the Shadow Player did at that point. So that's it. Fellowship wins barely. It's about, very, very close game. I generally find it to be pretty close most of the time. I've always found it to be a well-balanced game, for both sides. Have a good chance. Your decisions really, do matter in this game, and you'll see an experienced player is going to win this game, against somebody who's, not as experienced. Because, there's a lot going on in the game overall. And it's a game I really enjoy. There are some issues with it. The minis being one. The minis look good. They're going to put minis in a game like this. And because for some reason people love minis. And I get why. I mean, they look, even though these aren't painted, if you paint them, they look really nice on the map. They give you an idea of the size of the armies just by looking at them. However, on a map like this, you just get such a mess of stuff fitting them into these spaces. Now, granted, there are these boxes for the strongholds where you generally will have the massive guys, so you can kind of set them over to the side on it. The cards, I already talked about the cards. They fixed this in the 2nd edition where, the text is really tiny, difficult at times to read. However, like I said, overall, as far as, showing what, giving you a feel of this historical situation of the Lord of the Rings, I think it does a really good job. It doesn't really, gives you a nice feel of both, trying to push the Fellowship forward as well as fighting, the war itself with your military. It's a game I always enjoy playing. It plays relatively quickly, probably about, 4 to 6 hours, I would say, is probably what you're looking for in terms of time. So it's, you can play it on a school night if you stay up a little late. Weekend, of course, you play it in a day. You can, I would say 4 hours is probably what you're looking for. And we've played 2 of these games on like a Saturday or Sunday, switch sides or restart. So yeah, the mechanics are nice with the dice. I like how that works. So yeah, I mean, overall, the other games, there's a few other games, obviously, on Middle Earth, in the trilogy, the SPI game. I haven't played, I've seen it, I don't own it, but I know that game has some serious issues. And then I think there's a couple of Fellowship of the Rings, and which I've never seen or played. There's others as well. But if you're into Middle Earth and Tolkien, pull out the movies, watch them, play this, and it's worth having if you're really interested in the subject matter. The rules are I don't have a problem with the rules. I think some people complained about, but the rules to me are pretty, I think, well done in the game. I didn't have any problems understanding anything in it. And, of course, I played it a lot, but, I could find things easily in the rule book. They have, some things, they have the quick start. They have kind of this breakdown. The game term summary, this I don't like because it misses some important steps in here. So I don't know why you would put this on without kind of detailing the steps. So since, if you're first playing, you need to go back into the rules to get the detailed breakdown. But other than that, everything's pretty straightforward, pretty well done in terms of the rules and the components. And again, this situation of the fellowship and the army games being separate, I really enjoy. So, that's War of the Ring, and that'll be it.